you all have seen throughout, British curriculum is all about critical thinking, creativity, collaboration and communication. That happens every day in the classroom. Your children are learning the skills. You're developing the children to learn the skills of collaboration, to think out of the box, to create the things by themselves. The tasks given to them are catered in such a manner that they create it, they think, they analyze, they work in group, and they come out with the outcome. Why is British curriculum called the rigorous and trusted curriculum? Rigorous because British curriculum is a spiral curriculum that starts from FS up until their IGCSE. A skill that the children start to learn in FS. It is thrown at them every year group. It is not that we start with a concept and we finish it that year. If the child has not mastered that skill in 1 year group, he has the opportunity to come back to it in the next year. If we learn about shapes in year 2 and it is not on that level, in year 3 we again start with that. That is why it is called rigorous, because every year it pushes the children to work at a greater depth level, which means they are working independently on a certain skill. Now, why it is rigorous? Because in IGCSE, they have to sit for a formal examination. In any other curriculum, you would not have a very formal examination and getting a level, because it needs, British curriculum requires a certain band, a certain level, a certain stay for the children to acquire so that they get their diploma in the IGCSE. They complete their schooling years in IGCSE with a certain stay 9. If they are below in that stay 9, they would not pass. So it is a challenging curriculum every year that the children come back to. If you look at this, these are certain subjects that are there in British curriculum, and we in our school are offering these subjects, the core subjects and the foundation subjects. Apart from citizenship, everything over here is been offered. We are looking for we're looking ahead in next academic year or coming years to offer citizenship as well. So these are the learning guides that you can see, the subjects that children learn in British curriculum. Now, British curriculum does not have anything to do with the first two. It is not a shadow learning. It is not that children meet expectation and they move forward. As I said, it is a spiral curriculum where we push children to obtain mastery and working at greater depth. If you would be familiar with the word greater depth, I will come back to it in the next slides. Mastery is where the children work by themselves. You can see, you yourself, I don't need to repeat it. You yourself know where your children are at, what they are working on. The difference, if you would see every year group, they are progressing from FS until year 3, until year 2. They are progressing in every skill that they are learning at school. Creating, talking about it. Science exhibition was the greatest example where children stood, did their work and explained it to the audience. So this is something that we're looking in our school where children are working at greater depth. Why it is related, why I have put it over here, so that this concept comes a lot much in our assessment, where we push our children on learning ladders to work at a greater depth level, and this comes only with challenge. A task given to them, they will secure, they will master in that task, and they move to the challenge folder. Bloom's taxonomy, our very own. We've been using it for years. What we look is children creating, children evaluating, and children analyzing. These are the 3 major skills of Bloom's taxonomy that we look our children to do. That we are helping our children, facilitating, the teachers are facilitating these skills in the children, in the classroom. Now, these 3 skills come with the higher order thinking. When they move forward, starting with the task at the beginning level and moving forward to a greater level is where all this comes in. But nowadays, before Bloom's, I would say comes Maslow. Maslow is a lot to do with bonding, understanding self, developing that relationship amongst the group and with the facilitator. Now, why I would say that and why I have put it over here for you all is to understand that during the first, now when in a new academic year when the children join up with us, the first 2 weeks is where we do their baseline assessment. And baseline assessment is nothing but 2 weeks of teacher and children bonding, teacher understanding where the child is previous year, what was his end of year assessment, what was the level the child has been, whether he was on track, whether he was above, whether he was below, where she has to start with the child. And it is all about Maslow's hierarchy. This 2 weeks in the beginning is mainly Maslow's hierarchy. Love and bonding, self-actualization. The child understands where he stands. The teacher will make sure that in the baseline test, she sits and have this dialogue. Okay, in this subject, you are on this level. You're going to start with the skill for you. And with the parents as well. We send an email to parents letting them know how the week has been, how the starting 2 weeks have been with the children. This is something that we do in the classroom with the children. They are working in groups, inquiry, setting up a stall, selling things, understanding money, understanding how things work out in real life. These are all the things that we do in the classroom, in the school. Up until here is everything that happens every day, in every lesson with the children. They learn, they inquire, they do experiments, there are lab lessons, there are mathletics week where we take on science and innovation and some laughter and collaboration with the children during Drop Everything and Read. Moving forward, goal setting. Now when I spoke about the baseline time period of 2 weeks, what we do with the children. So in the classroom, the teacher starts with, so we have something called pupil profile for the children, for the teacher, sorry. She has the record of every child on what level they are. She starts with that knowledge, where this child is. For a new admission child, we have the entrance exam assessment, where the teacher will have the knowledge of where the child is. She starts with that. She starts with the knowledge, that's the baseline, builds a relationship. We also have all the data regarding the external examination, the internal examination, the end of year review, and then we do something that you would have seen at the back of the book, target setting. A child is given a certain target that if you are on track, by the end of the year, you need to move to on track plus. There are certain stainlines that will come in the next slide where you will get an idea. On track has certain levels, below has certain levels, significantly below is there and above is there. So we set the child for a target. If a child exceeds the target, that is a child is working at a greater depth or he is a gifted in a certain area. So goal setting is something that happens in the beginning of 2 weeks. After 2 weeks are completed of the baseline, we set the targets in the notebook and we will be able to read through. And this time what we're going to do is invite parents and children in to have the setting of target, to see where the child is, and he knows, okay, I am on track in English. I need to move myself to on track plus, to above. This will be the target setting that will be done with the parents, children and teachers. National Curriculum of England. The British curriculum is also known as National Curriculum. This document has everything that we do in the classroom. Okay? We take the learning intention from this document. From here starts the assessment part. Okay? Curriculum, I was talking up until now is curriculum. We take the learning intention. We don't change them. We don't change them into topics. As the learning intention is there in the document, we transfer the same thing into learning ladders. This is how the learning intention would be. We transfer them into learning ladders for our assessment. So, we start with the first one, the very beginning. The second one is developing. The third one is secure, and the last one is greater than. Any learning intention started with the teacher will mark the child if he has accessed the learning. She will mark the child on the beginning level. Okay. The first task, the first learning task. Then, when she moves on to the next task, she marks the child on the developing level. Then, when the child completes the waggle, at the end of the lesson, there's something called waggle that we take. The assessment of the learning. When he finishes that and is able to complete it by himself, we mark the third one, that is development. The child has mastered that learning. Now, when the child moves in that learning intention to the challenge, we mark them on greater than. That is the final thing, greater than. He's done, understood the skill. Beginning, developing, secure, greater than. This is something we are looking for next academic year, where the children of primary will have an understanding of what these ticks and arrows and beginning and developing and secure means in the classroom. If they've started with the learning intention, the teacher will give the access to the children to monitor their progress in every lesson. So they can have this dialogue with the children. Parents can have the dialogue with the children. Okay, if you're developing on this, how can we move it forward? Have this dialogue with the teacher. How am I going to support my child further in a learning intention? This is the idea of assessment that happens in the classroom this academic year. It has been through learning guides. What we are doing for next academic year is giving it out to the children. You monitor your own progress. The stay that I was talking about, the levels, the targets that we set the children on are something like this. It starts with significantly below, which is stay 9 1. Why stay 9? Because in IGCSE, the children will be graded up on stay 9. They need to be on a certain stay 9 of on track to acquire or achieve their high school diploma. If they do not get a stay 9 of 5, they will not be able to pass the test. It's between 4 and 5. It's between 4 and 5. So they won't be able to pass the test and they need to repeat it again. High school diploma would not be given to them. So we develop this understanding from a very basic level of year 1 to the children, where they have these in their notebooks and understand it. The targets, for example, the baseline target says on track for a certain child. His end of year target would be a 2 jump on track plus. So the child started on an on track minus. His next level target would be by the end of year to come on track plus. And as I said, if he was above, then he's a gifted or a mastery child. Yeah, we don't use the full form in notebooks. We use the abbreviations. I've put that as well. Now, what are the different types of assessment we do in the classroom, and what are the different types of assessment that are going to come for next academic year? I've put it all over here. Diagnostic is nothing but baseline that we do for the first 2 weeks, and it happens for every child. Every new child that enters in the classroom has this baseline check for 2 weeks. That's how we get what level the child is on. Then we have something called formative assessment. Formative assessments are things that happens in the classroom. The waggles, the class tests, the quizzes that happens in the classroom. The self-assessment and peer assessment of spellings, the maths check of reflection, all these things come in formative assessment. And it is everyday, ongoing assessment that happens currently in the school. We have standardized tests that happens in the school. It was going on for the last few weeks. Cognitive test that happens every 3 years. Star reading test that happen every term for a child. We monitor the children at the beginning, what level they are, then in the mid, and then at the end. Then we have the progress test. It only happens from year 4 until year 9. We are doing until year 9. Next year it will be year 10. That's progress test that comes from the ministry. Then we have PASS. PASS is a test that happens to understand the pupil attitude towards self and school. How does he feel coming to school? what level is he on. So there are certain areas, bands in it with the color, which gives us an indication where the child stands in every aspect. We think this is something that we're looking forward to, that we will be doing. So these are the three things that happens rigorously in the classroom. What we're looking forward for next academic year is summative test, which happens from year 6 until year 9, which happened from year 6 to year 9, are the summative test. What we are going to do for next academic year is going to happen from year 1 across primary, end of term checkpoints. Before midterm break, we'll have one assessment. At the end of the term, we'll have one assessment for the children. Every term it will be the same pattern. Before midterm, end of term. So assessment, that will be the class test, which will be informed to you all. The class tests are going to happen for the children during this period of time. Send them to school. It is not that you need to learn them or something, because British curriculum is not about mugging up. It's about children's understanding. So this is the window of assessment that's going to happen with the children. Please make sure that they attend the school in this window rigorously, if it is any sickness or anything that can be looked forward to. But this is the format of summative assessment. So primary will have a component of formative and summative assessment. It will impact on child's progress, both. If one is missed out, the impact will be seen in the report card of learning patterns. What is the weightage of formative assessment and summative assessment in primary? Key stage 1 and key stage 2. What is it? Formative assessment, that is a normal quizzes, classes, book checking, reflection, has 60% of weightage. Summative assessment will have a weightage of 40%. This both will only match up to 100%, which will be shown in the report. This is for key stage 2 and key stage 4. Now, this is a breakup of every term assessment window for primary students. I'm using it for the first time. Week 1 and 2, as I said, baseline observation. Week 3 and 7, which is before the midterm, will be all with Waggles, quizzes, class test. Last week of the term, midterm, there will be a midterm test, and then it will be end of term assessment. This is the whole format, and the weightage of all of this is 10%, which will keep adding to the learning ladders. Because every term, the learning ladder assessment is a 33% of weightage. So we mark the children based on that. It's a repeated cycle, term 1, term 2, term 3. For primary, at the end of term will be a major summative test, which will include all the consolidation of learning, and then will be tested. So this is all about assessment that will be coming from year 1 to 6. We did this assessment for year 6 this year. For year 6 children, we did the same format of assessment. We will try. I'll come back to you. I can see there's a question coming up. So we have done this. We have tested it in the classroom with the children. We have seen a greater progress. You can see children being more intense with their learning, understanding, taking notes and doing things like that. So tested, went well. We're going to bring it for next academic year. Yes, and there's another question.
Yeah, so I just wanted to know, this year for year 6, like rest of the year, you did not follow this.
Up until last year, we had examination for year 6. So it is a tested and tried format.
No, but like for year 1 and 2,
you
do not follow it.
It goes through the formative parts.
Yes.
That Ms. Sada said. It's just the quizzes and things like that which just builds into summative. So it's only the sit-down exam, which is that part that she's talking. The sit-down one happens only for year 6 because they're moving to secondary, so they just need runs. So yeah, so don't worry that they have sit-down examinations for young ones. No, not at all.
And up until year 5, there will be no sit-down examination, but there will be only class tests and quizzes that we do.
Which they are currently doing as well. This is just for parents to know that how it's actually done.
Phase-wise assessment distribution, year 1 and 2. As you are aware, we do have a lot of phonics reading assessment for the children. The phonics assessment, reading assessment, diagnostic, formative, summative, and the report card. So summed up everything in one slide where we will be sharing the slides with you. So you can go through, and if you have any doubt, please get back to us. So this is all that's going to happen. very major aspect of assessment for primary is something that you see in the notebooks of the children, the marking and feedback. We mark, we give feedback, and we do reflections with the children on everyday basis, on whatever they do, whether it be a verbal feedback or whether it be a written feedback. We don't do marking and feedback for parents. We don't do it for teachers. It is not for teachers. We do it only for children. For them to understand if I'm learning a concept of alphabets, where am I? Where am I lacking? Or what I have to do better? It's all that. The marking and feedback primarily focuses on the learning intention. As I spoke to you all, the National Curriculum of England has all the learning intention that we teach. It focuses on this. If the learning intention speaks that the child is going to understand the different angles in a shape, the teacher is just going to mark that part for the child, that you have done this part amazingly. What you need to do is understand it better. So it comes like this. I'll go through this. First I'll show you this. This is a policy of marking and feedback. Star, what you have done well. You've understood the concept of angles and shapes perfectly. What is the next step? You need to develop an understanding of a 90-degree right angle, that it is, when it is a right angle, it's a 90 degree. This will be the next step for the child, depending on what he have done in the notebook. So this is the policy of British curriculum. This is how it works. What the children need to do is, the next steps given to them, they reflect that in the classroom with the teacher. Okay, this is my reflection. What do I have to write? And they write it using purple pen. Coming back to this one, what we do with the children with marking and feedback. Now we are all Asians. We have grown up seeing our marking and feedback in a book differently, with red pen, every spelling marked out, do the spelling 5 times in the notebook, and this. We have brought up with this concept. British curriculum has evolved. The world has evolved a lot. And what we do with the children is focus on key objectives. What is the objective of the learning? We mark the children for that. We do not correct every time in this. Encourage self-correction. The teacher will then reply to the child. You go check with your friend on the table what has gone right and what you need to reflect. Use feedback for progress. We give a feedback where the child learns by himself, that he understands I need to go further with the learning intention. Provide time for reflection. We do the reflection with the children in the classroom. They use the purple pen in the classroom. If they have been absent, then they mess up and they do that at home. But the major focus is reflection in the classroom. Then balance of written and verbal feedback. Now, what do we mean by verbal feedback? If a child is engrossed in a task, that is an assessment as well. Him working on a hands-on task, then the teacher goes and gives feedback. Okay, I think you should tweak it like this way so that it will be more better. This is all about feedback, verbal and written feedback. Written feedback, you can see examples like this. If you look at this part, the star and next step is given to the child, and this is the reflection of the child. It is given away. These are all that we do in the notebook with the children. The child is marked against the learning intention, and he's given a next step to go ahead with. Say for algebra, we follow this policy in every subject, even in PE. The child is given a verbal feedback. You need to improve your skill a bit, and you will be better. Practice it at home, or practice it next time when you come. Do the warm up like this. The marking and feedback plays a very important role in the child's life. And this is what we are focusing as a good British curriculum school. Assessments. Mr. Liz, how do we do assessments in the school? What is the portal? Anyone?
What do you mean?
What is the portal we use for assessment? Learning. Yes. How do we access learning ladders at home? I hope everybody have the access to learning ladders and you are monitoring. If you don't, please meet Mr. Hisman. It is there on the website. The URL is there. You can have individual access to your child's learning. This is how it looks, the page when you open the learning ladders based on every learning intention. Here it shows, this part shows that a learning intention has started in the classroom and is going on until the child reaches this part. The tick shows that the child has secured the learning intention. So when you open the learning intention, learning ladder next time, you will be able to see if learning is showing on this. It will show that it's going on. It is something that the child is still learning. He started with beginning, developing the learning. When it is secure, when he gets 3 ticks, is when it shows a tick, 3 tick, done. And when it is greater than, you can see 4 ticks in the learning ladder. It is an up-to-date assessment forum which is given to you all throughout the term, throughout the year. You can find out so there are all the learning there are all the learning intentions for a year. We have divided it into 33% of a term. So you will find out there will be certain learning intention in term 1 which will be empty, that will come in term 2, term 3. Certain learning intentions will come in the first term and you will be able to see the progress. Now, next academic year, it will be more easy for you all to understand. We are providing you all with a curriculum booklet and an assessment booklet, which will have all the learning intention, all the assessment policies and how do we do it. It will be much more easier for every year. Articles are available in each curriculum standard, so you will be able to see everything on the internet. What are the benefits? So we're done with the understanding the curriculum and assessment part of how we do it in the school and what are the plans for next academic year. Why do we choose a British curriculum school? First, it is globally recognized system. It focuses on both breadth of the curriculum and the depth of the curriculum. How well it is going to help a child to grow and to progress in his life. I believe British curriculum helps a child more with dealing with life. Collaboration. Many of our children face this struggle with this, having how to have a social environment, how to handle a social environment. Being in a classroom with 25 helps the child understand how he needs to tackle with each friend, how he's going to have this experience in his outer world when he moves to ITCS, which will be a difficult pathway. Well-defined key stage provide clear understanding of progress. Every key stage has a level of progress. Every year group, as I said, it's a spiral learning. Every year group challenges them with the same concept on a different level. If they're learning about addition in year 1, that addition comes with a 3-digit, 4-digit, 6-digit, 9-digit in every year group. That challenges the children to understand, okay, if I did not understand it now, we have the time to progress up until year 9. Year 10, 11, 12 is where they are sitting for their ITCS. Understanding and acquiring that development. School engaged growth beyond the classroom. Now, why do I say this? Our learning is not only centered in the classroom. We have a lot to do with ECAs. We have a lot to do with sports day. We have a lot to do with extracurricular activities. The BSME art competition, the BSME maths competition, all of this revolves around the learning of the child. British curriculum aims to develop a well-rounded child. He will be having an understanding of safety, social gathering, physical himself. He will understand a lot about physical, how well he is, or how does he need to grow in a social environment. As I spoke about extracurricular activities, ECA, sports day, other art competition, we are trying our best to facilitate the children with everything we can so that they become confident in themselves. We are pushing our children to be prepared for the ITCS. School that follow British curriculum also has as I said, in primary also we are going to have a lot of STEM activity, debate, outdoor activities, the matches that happen between your group, between the school. That gives a lot more confidence to the children playing with someone else out of the school. So we're looking at a lot of all those things for next academic year. Robotics, AR is something that we're looking forward to develop with the children. Home connection is another part where we bring you all in to help your children develop and grow and progress and build that bond with you. Celebrating Father's Day last week was a learning for us to understand where the relationship of a child is with their parents, and it helps a lot in nurturing them to grow and to bond well. We celebrated a beautiful child last week, and we understand that these small steps help the children a lot, and we're trying our best to bridge that gap in between the families as well. Home connection is something you all do with the children on a very regular pattern, and it is good. And it has been a success. This year was a success with home connection. We brought in a home connection document as per your request, and it has gone out well. Parent communication, as you are aware, class teacher via email, weekend circular via email, that is a parent weekly focus letter, Microsoft Teams for weekly plans, consolidation worksheet, photos, and email of absence. SMS for urgent communication you would have received early morning today regarding the workshop. The school has sent an SMS. So all this is parent communication, and any time between the working hours, if you walk into the school, Miss Ola is there to greet you all with a smile. If you want to book an appointment, if you want to meet any one of us, we are all open. Many schools around the world offer British curriculum. Why this one? Just a reminder that we are a BSO accredited school, and we are looking for an inspection from the BSO to be officially a BSME this year, BSO next year. Okay, BSME this year and BSO next year. That means that we are an authentic British curriculum school. What happens in the UK with the children in British curriculum is same that we follow over here. There is no mixing, matching, which does happen in other schools. Everything that happens in UK is happening with your children in this school as a British curriculum. British curriculum is called the best curriculum for the children. I end over here. Any questions, anything specific regarding subjects, if you have assessment or anything, the heads of department are over here, Ms. Karuna and Ms. Sana. Sorry, Ms. Vajia is not available over here. If you have any questions, please do let us know, and we are ready to help. If you have anything that comes up to your mind when you go home, mail me on this, and I will be available. I'll be replying back to you all. But for now, please meet us. If you have anything regarding any subject, how the assessment will happen in English, in maths, in science, you can let us know, and we can give you a clear